The enduring influence of Native American culture and knowledge. The contributions of Native American tribes to the broader American society are profound, though often underappreciated. Their knowledge of the land, sustainable agricultural practices, and medicinal use of plants have had lasting impacts on the environment and modern science. As indigenous communities continue to revitalize their cultures and protect their sovereignty, their influence remains a crucial, if sometimes overlooked, part of the nation's identity. Agriculture and environmental knowledge. One of the most significant contributions of Native American tribes is their agricultural innovation. Crops like maize, corn, beans, squash, tomatoes, potatoes, and tobacco, which were first cultivated by native peoples, became staples in diets around the world after European colonization. The Three Sisters farming technique, planting corn, beans, and squash together, was a sophisticated form of agriculture that maximized crop yields and maintained soil fertility, a method still admired by modern agronomists. Furthermore, Native American tribes demonstrated a profound understanding of the natural world and ecosystems. Many practiced sustainable hunting, fishing, and gathering methods that maintained balance in local environments. Their approach to land stewardship was deeply rooted in their spiritual beliefs, viewing the land not as something to be owned or exploited, but as a sacred, living entity to be cared for. This contrasts sharply with the European settlers' approach, which often prioritized land ownership and resource extraction. In recent decades, indigenous environmental practices have gained renewed attention, especially as the world grapples with climate change and environmental degradation. Indigenous knowledge systems, often referred to as traditional ecological knowledge, TEK, have been increasingly recognized for their potential in biodiversity conservation and sustainable land management. Tribes like the Yurok in California have led efforts to restore ecosystems by reintroducing controlled burns, a practice that indigenous peoples used for centuries to prevent wildfires and manage forests. Medicinal practices. Long before modern pharmaceuticals, Native Americans used their extensive knowledge of plants and natural remedies to treat illnesses. Indigenous healers developed herbal treatments for ailments ranging from fevers to infections. Willow bark, for example, was used by many tribes to relieve pain and inflammation, and it later became the basis for the development of aspirin. The use of plants like echinacea, sage, and yarrow in traditional Native American medicine has persisted into modern times, as many of these herbs are now recognized for their immune-boosting, anti-inflammatory, and healing properties. In fact, contemporary medicine owes much to the botanical knowledge of indigenous peoples, who were the first to identify and use the medicinal potential of countless plants. In addition to herbal medicine, some Native American tribes practiced holistic healing that emphasized the mind-body connection, a concept that has gained popularity in contemporary alternative medicine. Ceremonial rituals like the Sweat Lodge and Vision Quest were not only spiritual practices, but also methods of psychological and physical healing that are now being revisited for their therapeutic value. Art, language, and cultural revival. Native American art, with its distinct styles, has long inspired and influenced broader artistic movements. From intricate beadwork and pottery to totem poles and sand paintings, indigenous art forms are celebrated for their craftsmanship and symbolism. In the Southwest, for example, Navajo weaving and Hopi pottery continue to be highly regarded, both as traditional art forms and valuable commodities in the global art market. In recent years, there has been a resurgence in Native American languages, many of which were on the verge of extinction due to decades of forced assimilation. Language revitalization programs are being implemented in schools on reservations and urban centers alike, where Native youth are reconnecting with their cultural heritage through the study of their ancestral languages. The Cherokee Nation, for instance, has developed a robust language preservation program that includes immersion schools and the use of technology to teach and spread the Cherokee language. This linguistic revival is crucial not only for preserving culture, but also for reclaiming Native identity. Language is a vital part of how cultures convey their worldviews, spiritual beliefs, and knowledge. Efforts to restore native languages help ensure that the rich history and traditions of indigenous peoples are passed down to future generations. Legal and political influence. Native Americans have played a significant role in shaping the legal landscape of the United States, particularly through their fight for sovereignty and treaty rights. Over the years, numerous legal battles have been fought in the courts, establishing important precedents for tribal sovereignty, resource management, and civil rights. In 1978, the American Indian Religious Freedom Act, AIRFA, was passed, recognizing the rights of Native Americans to practice their traditional religions. This was a landmark law in the protection of indigenous spiritual practices, which had been suppressed for centuries by federal policies. Tribal governments today operate as sovereign entities, with their own laws and governance systems. Many Native American nations have successfully asserted control over their lands and resources, managing casinos, natural resource extraction, and tourism enterprises. These businesses provide economic benefits to tribal members and have helped some tribes become economically self-sufficient. However, the political struggles are far from over. Issues like missing and murdered indigenous women, land rights, and environmental protections continue to be points of contention between Native communities and federal or state governments. The fight for justice and equality remains central to the contemporary Native American experience. Cultural resilience and future prospects. Despite centuries of colonization, oppression, and cultural erasure, Native American tribes have demonstrated remarkable resilience. Their ability to adapt to changing circumstances while holding on to their cultural heritage is a testament to their strength and determination. Today, indigenous peoples are not only preserving their traditions, but also leading movements in environmental justice, civil rights, and cultural revival. The legacy of Native American tribes in the United States is one of deep wisdom, creativity, and survival. Their contributions to the nation's history and culture are undeniable. And as efforts continue to recognize and honor their place in society, the future holds the promise of continued growth, healing, and empowerment for Native communities. As Native Americans reclaim their stories, languages, and lands, they also offer valuable lessons to the world about the importance of community, environmental stewardship, and resilience in the face of adversity. Their ongoing influence is a vital thread in the fabric of American life, enriching the nation's past, present, and future.